No.
Original.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Ashley Empowers. I'm Ashley, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Dating with Purpose. Dating with Purpose is a series that I created to showcase and highlight couples who are keeping God first in their relationships and pursuing healthy marriages. I'm so excited to be interviewing Janae and John Utley as they share their Dating with Purpose journey, but I did want to let you know that my audiobook, Dating with Purpose, a story on how God turned a hot mess into a housewife, is currently on sale for $5. This story is my transparent journey of how I got to being in a healthy, thriving marriage, and I would love for you to check it out. The story is 100% narrated by me, and I will leave a link in the description box below for you guys to check out because the sale will last for the next 24 hours, and again, it's only $5. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So Janae and John, welcome.
Thank you.
Howdy ho.
So you guys tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you all got together.
So my name is Janae Emily Utley. Who I am. I am a lot. I am a lot. I do a lot, but most importantly, I'm definitely a child of God. I am 32 years old, and I currently live in Memphis, Tennessee, actually in the house with my in-laws. So that's another story.
Yes. I'm John Utley. Like Janae said, I'll echo that. First and foremost, a Christian, proud husband, music fan, sports lover, auto mechanic, gearhead, engineer, tech nerd, all of that.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
We actually met each other in high school. We had
I don't like just saying that to people because they assume
we're high school sweethearts.
Or we like for real knew each other, but I'm black, he white.
Right.
And we went to a diverse school. So we didn't, like, we had a class together, but we didn't see each other. Like, we didn't hang out with each other. Like, we knew of each other, but it's like there was no commingling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Janae gave me her phone number in my yearbook, but we didn't realize that until...
That's what you do. Keep in touch with your number. It's the courteous thing to do.
We actually started hanging out in college, though.
Yes.
We bumped into each other my first semester there, and then didn't see each other for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Saw her again that time, and another big hug. Hey, how are you? And then the third time was come spring semester that year, my junior year, her senior year, and finals were approaching. Actually walked past her in the library and felt like a strong hand in my chest, like stop, turn around, go talk to her. You know who that is. And so I turned around, gave her a hug, said, hey, give me your phone number. We're hanging out. Are you graduating in 2 weeks? She said, no, I've got one more semester. And I was thinking, okay, cool. I've got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And,
so question, so you got her number with the intention of let me, not just like, oh, this is my friend, the person I went to high school. You were kind of wanting to pursue her.
Yeah, it's funny because like this was not premeditated at all. Like I definitely had a crush on Janae. I mean,
who knew? Who knew?
Who wouldn't?
Oh, excuse me.
But I had a crush on Janae through high school, through college, and like I said, was walking past her and was just like, hey, give me your phone number. We'll hang out in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Not really. I think neither one of us were actually looking for a relationship at that point in time.
Right.
We were kind of just looking like to hang out as friends. I was curious to see where it would go. Like, I obviously was like in the mindset of let's see where this can go more than just friends. Even though I wasn't actively trying, I kind of fought a relationship with Janae for a long time. But I definitely had more of intentions of seeking out a relationship than she did.
Okay. So question I have to ask. Did you guys, or John, let me ask you first, had you dated a Black woman before, or was Janae your first Black?
Ask the question, Ashley.
I'm curious. Because he said he felt a stop in his chest, like, go get her number. So I'm like, had you dated a Black woman before?
Never. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
Janae, what
And
about
I
you?
had never dated a white guy before either.
Okay, so let's go ahead and fast forward. So you guys exchange numbers. You've been knowing of each other. You actually started dating. John, how did you know Janae was the one?
Um,
Tell the truth.
you know, it's funny. I didn't for a while. We broke up due to some stupidity on my part, which was typically the case early on in our relationship, and maybe still to this day. But we had broken up, and I was kind of really searching after God. Like, God, is this my wife? Like, I'm not gonna keep chasing Janae. Like, this was tough. Like, it was more work than I was used to, and it was a lot of growth that was required of me. Like, when Janae and I first started talking, I wasn't strong in my faith, so I was like growing back into a relationship with God, and um, I was growing back into a relationship with God, and just didn't really have it all there. And when we broke up, I wanted to get back with Janae, but I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and we're going to have to be intentional about it. And I prayed about it, and I feel strongly to this day that God said, yes, that's your wife. So,
Yes. So Janae, did you grow up in church?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
I did.
And so tell us about that. So you grew up in church and then you started dating John, who wasn't strong in his faith. Did you feel secure in your relationship, or did you have like a requirement, like, I won't move forward until he is stronger spiritually? Because that's a question that's before you answer, that's what I see a lot. So a lot of time, sometimes the woman is stronger in her faith and people wonder, well, should I still entertain this relationship when the man is not there yet?
Mm-hmm. So, and I get this a question actually a lot in our YouTube community. But the thing with me is I wasn't interested in dating him, so it never was a thing in my mind of me trying to convert him, me trying to change him, anything like that. Once we were dating, for me, what I knew of him was that he was a Christian. I didn't know how the depths of the struggle that he was having until we were dating more and we were having more conversations. And what I experienced on my end wasn't the John that was like so crumbled up, struggling, through his relationship with God. I just kept seeing him transform. Every time I blinked, he was transforming. Every time I blinked, like this bad habit was getting put away and that bad habit was getting put away. So I understand what women, when women ask me, like, were you dating an unbeliever? Would you date an unbeliever? For me, by the time we were dating, it was so much God grace and God growth in him that I never really had to question, like, what he doing? Like, if I start praying, like, is he gonna look at me strange? And I will be completely honest, it was, some struggle moments where I wish that he was stronger in his faith, because I grew up in the church and my parents work in the deliverance ministry. They get after some stuff. It's not like, oh, kumbaya, like they are the casting out of demons, like that is them. And so I'm used to, waking up in the morning and praying and speaking in tongues and really believe. So I was just like, why? Is you gonna join me? But then even in that, I had to learn that people experience, or the relationship that they have with God is different. And yes, he could be stronger, and yes, I did want him stronger in certain ways, but that strength didn't have to look like how I perform it, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. So how long have you guys been married now?
We just had our 6-year anniversary on the 7th of August.
Okay, so how has marriage been for you guys? And for those who are watching who want to have a healthy foundation, what's one thing that you would encourage them to do, either within themselves or as a couple?
I think due to the nature of our relationship, we had a lot of really hard, tough conversations before we got married. Tough conversations, financial, spiritual, emotional, racial, like all of it. We touched the bases of all of those things, and we knew going into our marriage, like, where we stood. And there were definitely some things that were like, maybe in disagreement with, but they were very minor things. Like we both agreed with our faith, with, you know, racial equality, reconciliation, all of that, spiritual growth. So we were very much on the same page, I think, there, which I think that was the most important thing for us, to come into marriage with a singular stance, like two became one, not just, you know, in God's eyes, but over the growth within ourselves leading up to marriage, and then once we got married.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the foundation for us was asking all of the questions. Sis, ask all the questions. Like, how do you feel about the color red? Huh? How do you feel about the sky being blue? Right? How do you feel about climate change? Like, asking all the questions, and from a place where it's like, I'm not going to be fearful if you can do it. I'm not going to be fearful that he's going to leave or run away or think I'm crazy if I ask him the questions. Ask all the questions. We ask all the questions.
Okay. And so when you guys got together, were your families accepting of your relationship, being that you are a interracial marriage?
Yeah, I would say they were. Like surface level, definitely very accepting, like very welcoming. You know, I think early on, Janae's parents worried if I would be able to step up to the plate. Actually, I know that they were worried whether I would be able to step up to the plate and like defend Janae and defend her as a Black woman, like mistreatment that she would face. Like that was a big thing for them, and I passed that test, thankfully. So they kind of accepted me on more after seeing us go through some difficult moments and me confirming that for them. For my family, I don't think there's ever been an issue with Janae being Black and me being white. I think the only real issues that have come out of it is like requiring growth out of my family and like setting boundaries and expectations of like, okay, this is what your grandchildren or your nieces and nephews will look like to my siblings and my parents. Like the world isn't what you think it is, and like I'm going to need like some ground rule expectations, you know, when my kids are around and when Janae and I are around. So that's really the only tough moments we've had, and don't let me pass that over saying that's the only tough moments that we've had, because those have been tough moments, weeks and months, years of growth and hurt and struggle, but but you know, the love is there. My family loves Janae like a lot. They definitely know that she requires a lot out of them, and that I require a lot out of them now. But there's a lot of love between our families for each other.
And from what I know about Janae, from my experiences getting to know you, you have a strong personality. And to me, like what John, and I don't know you personally, but just kind of observing you too, I see Janae as, you know, a very strong personality. And John, you seem kind of laid back. I may be wrong, but Janae, I'm curious, what is one of your favorite parts about marriage?
Oh my God. I mean, my best friend. I get to do everything with him. I literally get to do everything with him. We get to go to sleep together. We get to, you know, ride bikes together. We was riding bikes yesterday. We get to cook together. And I get to experience so much stuff with somebody who I know has my back, who has a vested interest in me, who loves me, who wants to see me grow, who, when I'm devastated, will like come up behind me. Like, is my best friend.
Yeah. And I love it. And something that I know about you guys, Janae, I know it's probably been a little over a year now where you guys packed up and made a major faith move, moving across country. And like you said, you're living with your in-laws, but some of the conversations within our group, Janae, that you said, one thing I remember is as you were explaining, I think it was John quitting his job so you guys can just really go on a faith move and trust God with your purposes in life and where he wanted you guys to end up. And there was one time that you said that just like you and John may have been in the car or something, you guys were just praying together. And so the fact that he's saying, you know, he had to grow to this point, and it sounds like your marriage has been strengthened because of it, is really amazing. And I think it's just a testament to people watching that you do not have to be perfect in order to be in a healthy relationship. Like, there's going to be growth in any relationship. And I think that's really great. So as you guys are making these faith moves in your life, John, would you consider Janae a good helpmeet? Because I know a man, you know, you guys are called to be the providers, and for you to quit your job and to pursue all these other things. How has Janae been as a helpmeet?
You know, it's funny. We took a road trip a few weeks ago, and we kind of talked about submission and marriage, and like the role of a husband as a provider, and what kind of provision is a husband expected to provide, and like wives submit to your husband. Like we sat and recorded a video about that, and we talked about that, and we still, like 2 months later, are talking about it. Janae as a helpmate, I don't really consider Janae as like a helper to me.
What you mean, baby?
Like, I see her more as like partner, like tag team. We always joke, like tag team back again. Like, we're partners in this. Like, she's not like my helper. She helps me, but I also help her. And like provision, like I don't think it's just financial provision, because Janae makes money herself. So like, I think as a husband's role is more for like spiritual provision, and you know, emotional health, and more than just financial provision.
Absolutely.
So Janae,
but financial provision is a piece of that. We ain't skirting and skipping around it, but yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Ashley, I think Janae is an amazing partner. You know, she's there cheering me on through my accomplishments, like talking me through, you know, my failures and disappointments, and like re-encouraging me, and just helping me to get back up when I fall.
Yeah.
She's always there, like my biggest cheerleader. We do so much together. Like I feel like calling Janae a helper is like almost beneath her. Like,
yeah.
She's so much more than that. So
yeah.
And I will say this about him. And I ain't gonna get emotional, but we would not have been able to have, you know, the life that we have, or even take this, you know, him taking this year sabbatical, if he had not taken care of business financially when he was working. I mean, we have a video on our channel. This man helped us dig out of $80,000, really more than $80,000 worth of debt. So, you know, what we walk in now is because of him. So it's nothing for me to, you know, while he needs this time to be refreshed, because he was drained from the work that he was doing, it's nothing for me to step in and be like, okay, baby, we gonna figure this out. You know, let me do a couple of things and help make ends meet until you can, you know, have time to listen to God, get still, and go where he wants you to go.
I love that perspective. And I love, Janae, that you're willing to do that. Whereas some women may have a completely different attitude of the thoughts of their husband taking a year sabbatical. For you to be so humble, to not fight that is a beautiful thing, you know? So I appreciate you sharing that. So what would you say, kind of as we wrap up here, and actually, there's something that I also wanted to ask. Janae, did you come from a two-parent household?
I did, which is one of the reasons why, you know, it was nothing for me to help John out, because that's all I saw demonstrated from my parents. My parents are, if we a tag team, they a tag team. Like, that's all I ever saw growing up. It's like, baby, I got this, I got you, you hold me down. That's all I ever saw. And it wasn't no struggle love type thing. It was, you know, fun. It was partnership. It was real love. It was real happiness in marriage.
Oh, wow. And John, your parents are still together?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so you both have came from two-parent households and had those examples. That's awesome. So people always ask, you guys have been married for 6 years. Do you believe there is a certain time frame in which people should have children?
No, I think it's whatever God and the two of you feel led to do. Like that's a holy thing. Bringing life into this world, like, is not something that should be taken lightly. It's not something that we take lightly. We talked the other day. We looked up and we're like, we're 32, 31 with no kids. We've been married for 6 years. Like, the people think we're weird, crazy for doing it like this, and it doesn't really matter what people think. It's what's right for us, and we both want children, and we both are going to try for children when that moment is right. But like, I don't think either one of us have felt like 100% perfect peace about it, and I don't know that anyone ever does. Right. And I'm not trying to say that everything should be perfect, so please don't misconstrue those words. Because things won't be perfect whenever it happens. Yeah. It'll be divine. But I just don't think that we've had that divine peace yet.
Yeah. So you're just still enjoying each other right now.
Yeah. And it's been my prayer that, Father God, when it's time for the baby that you want us to bear, to be birthed into this world for the purpose that they are called to, like, let it not be a thing. If it's meant to be, whenever, like, ooh, baby, I'm pregnant. So, like, God, whenever you want our seeds to come, we open, we ready.
Yes, absolutely. Now, my final question, is there anything that you guys wish when it came to dating or preparing for marriage that you would have done differently?
There was a stretch where we lived together in college. I wish we hadn't have done that. Like, I wish that we would have just not lived together.
Backstory. So I graduated from grad school, and I was still trying to figure out what was happening while he was still in grad school. So I was a graduate assistant making no money. I graduated, so the stipend that I was getting, like, ran out. So I moved all of my stuff from my apartment to his apartment with the intent of, like, just trying to figure it out. Me trying to figure it out turned into, like, what, 3 months?
Yeah, about 3 months.
Yeah, and then it got to a fever pitch where it was just like, we got into a devastating argument. And, like, in one night, I just packed up whatever was left in his apartment and went home. Because I was like, I'm trying to stay here to figure out what my next moves are. This isn't healthy. This isn't right. I'm out here.
Yeah, I would definitely say, and I know, like, the world says, oh, you should live together and see if you're compatible. Like, I disagree with that. The word doesn't say that you should live with your spouse before you're married. And I believe that's really the only important direction that you should take heed to in that regard. So that's one thing I would have done differently.
Janae, anything go ahead, John.
There's so many things that, like, you look back on and you're like, should I have done anything differently? And it's that,
because it got you to the point that you're currently
at. There was like all of the failures and shortcomings caused me to grow a lot, and the stuff that we put each other through, like, allowed us to be where we are now. So, but living together is definitely one thing. This, for sure, I would wish we hadn't done.
For the most part, no, because it got us to where we are now. But if I'm being honest, and Ashley, just give me a second to, like, honestly and transparently share with you and your audience, John and I did not wait until marriage. And that is something that is still hard for me to talk about, because for so long I had massive amounts of shame that surrounded that, because I knew better. Not from a religious, you going to hell, you going to, but from a relationship point, like, okay, this is something ordained by God. Let's not pervert this. Let's understand that there are spiritual implications. Let's understand that there are soul ties. Let's understand that there are, potential for demonic things to be transferred, because it's not under the covenant of marriage. It's not under the blessings and the mercy and the grace of marriage. So I had so much shame around it. And for the longest time, I had embedded my identity, one piece of my identity, as being a virgin. Because I had always said, and I would say this to my friends, like, if I can't give my husband anything else, if I can't give him no money, I can give him something that no one has ever had and no one will ever have. So when I lost my virginity to the guy that I dated before him, I was devastated. So the crazy thing about it was I dated him for like 2.5, 3 years. And in my mind, ladies, you know how we do logic. Well, I've been with him so long. This is my husband, so it's okay anyway. And what went 2 years, 2.5 years in that relationship as a virgin, lose my virginity to him, rationalizing in my own mind until it got to the point where it was just like, actually, our relationship did not last 6 months after that. Went 2.5 years, and then relationship didn't last 6 months after that. So I was like, that messed with me so bad, and I was always devastated. So going into a relationship with him, and we slipped, I was like beside myself. So we made promises to each other. Like we actually got promise rings, and we made promises to each other. He never pressured me. He never pushed me, and we like recommitted ourselves to that journey. And not saying that we didn't struggle or didn't have slip up, but we were really intentional and really trying to honor our bodies and honor God in that way. So if I had to do anything over, it would be that, because it devastated me. And I'm all about transparency, and even me being in my my own transparency, that's still something that's hard for me to talk about. But I understand that in talking about stuff, healing comes. So I'm just allowing myself to continue on my own healing journey.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's something that people don't open up about, but I can relate to you completely, and having that experience of shame. And I love that you didn't give up, but you guys got your promise rings, and you owned that. You owned your decisions, going forward. So I really appreciate you opening up and sharing that. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to ask you guys a couple rapid fire questions, and we'll be done with the interview. So John,
yes,
Janae, get ready. Okay, so the first question: sweet potato or pumpkin pie?
Sweet potato.
Period.
So, okay. Okay. Sweet or savory snacks?
Sweet.
Savory.
Sweet.
Savory.
Okay. I'm with you on the sweet.
We don't need each other's.
Okay. Target or Walmart?
Target.
Favorite movie?
Ooh. The Matrix, The Mask,
Yeah. The Bournes, Cool
Runnings.
Okay. Okay. And then the last one, dressing or stuffing?
Neither. Ooh, don't take my card, y'all.
Okay.
Neither.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Dressing, I don't know, whichever one, I'll eat it.
Okay. Okay. Well, can you guys tell people where they can find you? I know you guys have a couples channel. Janae, you have an amazing YouTube channel, and your social media is so informative when it comes to health and fitness. Can you guys tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, you can find me at JP_Utley. Janae is at Janae Emily Utley. It's JENA Emily Utley.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can find us on our couples, marriage, relationship, whatever you want to call it, YouTube channel at youtube.com/Janae John, and then me on my holistic living YouTube channel at youtube.com/Janae Emily Utley.
Yes. And
and also you can find me on my website and my newsletter, because I like to keep it 100, keep it real, keep it transparent, because I really believe in growing together, healing together, being transparent with our stories, all that good stuff.
Yes, and I'll have all of their information linked down below, along with their website information as well. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.